internet friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I am going over the case of the two missing children, Jack and Lilly Sullivan. I have really went through a lot of interviews, and something just keeps bringing me back to the very first interviews that the parents had given on May 3rd. This would have been the date that they did the press conference. So we are going to be going over that today, and I have noticed certain statements that it's just drawing my attention to. Also, we're going to be going over the post that I made last night about the swimming pool, why Janie, would put a swimming pool next to the dog's area where the dog hangs out inside the gate. Why would she put their pool there for? That it just makes no sense when the children are afraid of the dog, and it seemed like the dog didn't like the children. So we're going to be going over that as well. Now, before we get started, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this video. That way you are updated when I post new content. All right, let's get started. Okay, guys, so the first clip that I'm about to show you is a clip of Daniel Martel's first interview. Now, I just took a clip out of this, so it wouldn't make this video very long, but it's Daniel stating that we didn't hear the kids. And you know, when kids go quiet, it means they're getting into something. Now, what if allegedly he was telling us what happened without telling us? Now, I always say, when someone lies, like a really large lie, and they got to continue with it, usually that's based on some truth. The truth stabilizes the lie because it makes it easier to remember the lie. Now, I'm not saying in any way that Daniel's lying, but we've heard so many inconsistencies from the entire family, and I think everybody just wants to know where Jack and Lilly Sullivan are. Now, if you remember a man named Chris Watts, he was the man who unalived his pregnant wife and two daughters. Now, if you remember, I'm going to play the clip in just a moment. Chris says, I miss the kids barreling in through the door. I'm going to play that clip in just a minute. Well, come to find out, his kids were found in an oil barrel. So he was lying, obviously, but he was telling some truth within that lie. Now, I'm not saying Daniel's lying, like I said, but I like to listen closely to the very first interviews that people give, because it gives certain words in there, just like Malaya said, we feel sorrow, and then they both talked about it being wet, and hopefully the kids are dry. So could that be an indication of where the kids might be? Who knows? But let's get started with these clips, and I want to know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that Daniel's giving us a clue here, or do you think it's nothing? All right, let's get started.
She was still asleep, and I said, I don't hear Lilly and Jack. So I jumped straight up out of bed. Silence is never a good thing when you have kids, because you know they're getting into something. And then we noticed the boots were gone. We went outside, made our way into the back.
Okay, now that you've heard Daniel talk about silence is no good when you have kids, which I totally agree with him on that, let's listen to what Chris Watts had to say when police were interviewing him.
And last night, I wanted that knock on the door. I wanted to see this kid just running, just barrel rush me and just give me a hug and knock me on the ground. But that didn't happen.
Okay, guys, let me know what you think about that last clip. Now, I found some text messages from Daniel or posts. He says, I asked for cadaver dogs back in June, okay? But this is the strange thing. If you think they were deceased, talking about Jack and Lilly, why would Belinda write this? If they believe for the kids to be alive, why would they ask for cadaver dogs? Yes, exactly. That's a good question, Belinda. Why would they ask for cadaver dogs? Especially when they're pushing that the kids aren't a reserve, right? And then you have this message from Daniel. I believe that Jack and Lilly are alive, hence the reward of $150,000. So, which is it? So, why keep changing stories and why keep changing your statements, in my opinion? It's like a different story every single day. You know, one day the kids are alive, the other day the kids aren't. You know, in my opinion, I believe that the RCMP believe those children are on that property somewhere. Hence why they kept going back and searching. Why the drones are overhead, looking on the property all the time, following Daniel around. And someone said, well, you know, that could be like private drones or whatnot. Private drones aren't allowed on your property, and they're not allowed to follow you around, or they're going to get harassment charges, especially in Canada, guys. Okay, now we're going to talk about the pool for the kids. First off, Janie was like, oh, these people are driving by, filming me at night, telling people that I'm filling potholes. Well, that's what was stated. You were out filling potholes. That's what we were all told by your friend Durwood. Now, Janie has changed the story to she was leveling out gravel to put a kid's swimming pool. So, for the pool idea, okay, that's fine. You're smoothing out gravel for a pool for the kids. But ask yourselves this. Janie said herself that the kids are afraid of the dog, that she believes she heard through the grapevine that the kids have never been around dogs, which I showed you the other day they have. But in my opinion, I feel that the dog and the kids just didn't get along. So supposedly the kids weren't around Janie's dog for the past 2 years. So why would you put a swimming pool in front of your fence area around your RV where the dog hangs out in? Why would she do that? Why wouldn't she just put the pool in their little play yard where the swings are? Okay, why would she put it in front of this gate here? I don't understand it. Because if the kids and the dog don't get along, that's not a good place for a pool. So what allegedly happened there? What could have happened there where this spot is so particular to them? Huh? I'm just curious. In my opinion, and she even says, that's where the one boot print was found. It was muddy that day. It had been raining. So if the kids were out there, there would be several boot prints, okay, in the mud. That's a muddy driveway when it rains, guys. There would be several boot prints, not just one. So why is that boot print that the RCMP found in the same spot that Janie was putting the pool? Ask yourselves this, guys. Ask yourselves, and I want you to comment below and let me know what you think about it, because it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. You know, and where did they get all this gravel? Were they digging holes to put the new fence post in, to put the fence up with? And allegedly that's where the dirt came from, because in Canada, you got to dig under the frost line. So that would be about 4 or 5 foot deep of dirt, because you got to put posts to hang a gate and to put a fence on. Doesn't matter. Even if you're putting up cattle fencing and you're going to have a gate, you got to have posts, guys. And those are usually wooden posts. And you got to dig deeper than the frost line, or else your fence is going to collapse, because you got to pour concrete in there. Is that where she got all the gravel from to fill the potholes and smooth out the driveway? I don't know, guys. You let me know what you think below in the comments. I want to hear from you. Every day, this entire case gets stranger and stranger and stranger to me. But I just keep going back to the very first day and listening to all of these interviews. All right, guys, I'm not going to make this video too long. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I appreciate every single one of you. And like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.